a good buddy like him and his wife, and man, they're just everybody. I hope everybody knows somebody like that in their life. Not just the fact that he bought me a camera, but his thoughtfulness and generosity is inspiring. Well, I want to be a better person for it. So anyway, thank you, Tim, Susanna. Geez, I hope I'm recording right now. For all I know, this camera could be off. I'll find out when I get back to the car, I guess. That's how new it is to me. This is my first hike with it. I don't know if you can see this. This zoom features on this camera are like you have either zoom on or off, and typically I turn it off, but let me see if I can't monkey with this while I'm recording. I don't think I can change this while I'm recording and have one like contiguous video without a break in it, and I don't know anything about editing yet, so I'm not going to stop the video just for the sake of zooming, but I'll figure out the settings of like on the fly adjustments, or learning how to marry two videos together into one. There's Sugar and Frankie. All right. This kerchief that I'm wearing is just a little too hot. I'm going to take this kerchief off, though. It's good if it's windy. It keeps the wind off your neck, but it's not windy, so. Speaking of wind, I'd be curious to see what the microphone sounds like then. So it is just a slight breeze, but I wonder if the microphone is filtering that out, or I'm sure you know the sound that I'm talking about. What are you eating? Snow. Okay, good. Uh-oh. Poor Frankie's throwing up. He does not do good on hikes. Whenever we go on a hike, he throws up. I feel bad because that's his lunch, or his breakfast right now. And there's some serious, he's gonna throw up again twice. He throws up twice. Once with food, and the next with bile, and poor guy. I gotta let him, I gotta wait when he does that so he can go back and eat his breakfast again, because he'll get hungry. Anyway, there's sugar. No, Sugar, you can't eat that. You double dip in there. Anyway, I'll just kind of hang out here for a little bit and let Frankie re-eat his breakfast. I hope. I mean, he just does it on hikes. He doesn't do it in the house. Only when we're hiking. And I don't know. So yeah, he's going back now to dig in. Good boy. See, I moved to Colorado in '92. I moved to Estes Park, which is about 60 miles north of here. It's at the Rocky Mountain National Park entrance. Beautiful town, and good vibe. But anyway, when I was when I moved there in '92, I'd moved there with my friend Otis, who now lives down in Broomfield and New Hampshire. He kind of goes back and forth between Broomfield, Colorado, and a suburb of Boston up in New Hampshire. And then let's see, my buddy Asa, who now lives in Tennessee. We all moved out to Estes Park together. So there was, everybody kept saying, "Oh, there's no moose around. There's no moose around." And sure enough, there really wasn't any moose around. And nobody had, you'd hear somebody say, "Oh, I heard from a friend of a friend that they were driving down on the Kawanichi meadow, in the park, and they saw a moose," and everybody'd be, bullshit, that's crazy. Well, in those 32 years since I've been here, moose have just thrived. And I don't know if they've reintroduced moose to the area, but it's kind of nice. That bear too. You'd hear about people talking about bear. Again, you'd end up calling somebody's house saying, "Oh, bullshit, there's no bear." Man, we had bird feeders out for the last, I'd say about 4 years ago. We would have, up until about 4 years ago, we would have bird feeders out with black oil sunflower seeds, and we'd be feeding hummingbirds. We'd have 4 or 5 hummingbird feeders out and around, and those bear in the fall, they'd come by our house every day and climb up on the deck and just start munching down on those bird feeders, knock them down off the trees. They'd fall to the ground, and smorgasbord of bird food. They'd get all fat before they hibernate. So that, and we had just a shit ton of ground squirrels, and those little bastards would get into the house, and so we ended up taking those bird feeders down. I think probably for the better. I've heard of people putting bird feeders out strictly June, July, and August, and then at the end of the August they just take them down because of the critters, the ground squirrels, the bears. Anyway, so we're starting to get up into the woods here. My snowshoes are kind of sinking into the snow a little deeper because of the shadows cast on the snow. It's not quite as crusty on top. Anyway, the dogs are right behind me because they're walking in my tracks, the compressed tracks. If they venture too far off of the trail into the snow, they're up to their bellies. And Sugar right behind me is stepping on the back of my snowshoes, so trying to give me a flat tire, aren't you, Shuggies? watching a hiker on video is probably not the funnest thing to do. I can attest to the sometimes perception, his depth perception isn't quite there. And anyway, my point is that the steepness of this hike is, not particularly steep like alpine crampon ropes and stuff. There are some sections that have a pretty steep grade, and you'll hear my breathing get harder in those areas and not as hard as kind of the flatter areas. But I can only go so far back in here, and then the dogs are just post-holing and hopping up every step they take. They've got to actually jump. I'm not quite there yet. Sugar's probably, let me get to a spot where you can see her. There she is. You can maybe see her right down there in between the trees, but she's struggling a little bit, and that's not really fun for them. So I'll probably hike for a couple more minutes and then turn around, head back to the car. Just out and back, just a short hike today to kind of noodle with this camera a little bit. I'm kind of excited to get back home and look at the video and kind of critique it, see what I could do better. I got it in 5.3K setting, 30 frames per second, and let's see, 5.3K versus 4K